Hello, and thank you for coming to the McWaters Effect. I'm your host, Matt. Today I'm looking at the Gateway Opponent, but first I need you to hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Now let's take a look at this news article. Exclusive. This is a shot across the bow. We want the machines opened up. North Carolina's House member requests inspection of voting machines. A group of North Carolina Republican lawmakers from the General Assembly want the State Board of Elections, SBOE, give them some answers about the machines used to tabulate votes. The lawmakers want the machines opened up and allow their own people to investigate what happened in the 2020 presidential election. Now, there's a video down here. We're going to go ahead and check it out.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith Kidwell. I am your North Carolina representative from the 79th District and chairman of the North Carolina House Freedom Caucus. Wanted to let you know that this week, the North Carolina Freedom Caucus interviewed two members of the North Carolina Board of Elections. I'm going to cheat and look at my notes. We talked with Patrick Gannon, who is the Public Information Director, and Brian Neesby, who is the Chief Information Officer in charge of the computer systems for the state of North Carolina's elections. What we did is put the hard questions to these guys on what exactly is going on with the numbers and the machines in North Carolina. So I'm going to give you a brief report today, and I want to note that we will have them coming back in 2 weeks to answer the questions we put to them that they were not able to answer. So firstly, on the voting equipment in North Carolina. North Carolina is using, according to them, about 3 different systems. We've asked them to provide the Freedom Caucus access to those machines to look at and verify that if they do have a modem, that the modems are actually deactivated. I want to see if they're deactivated to the point that they cannot be reactivated, what types of modems they are, whether they're LAN, in other words, wired, Wi-Fi, or cellular. And according to what they believe to be the correct answer is they had cellular modems in them, which is a point of concern. We want to make sure that they are actually permanently deactivated and cannot be turned on by somebody. The other question we had is, can we open the machines, bring in our own technicians, and look at those and inspect them and videotape that? They're going to get back to us on that, and I'm hopeful and encouraged that we will be able to do that. Some of the other questions we had, some of you have heard of Major Dave. Major Dave has done a series of posts on the internet showing us where data changes on some of these reports. Now, they had some very good explanations for this, which I don't know if they're true or not. We're going to continue that investigation and get the answers. But one of my questions as an accountant, when I make a general journal entry, we put a notation on that entry that tells us why something was changed. In other words, if we move something from a regular asset account to accumulated depreciation or expense account, we're going to put a note on that general journal entry that tells us why we did that. So 6 months later we know, and if the IRS or anybody else looks at it. So what I've asked them to do is do the same thing with the elections results. So one of their points is sometimes numbers will change because if a precinct or a county accidentally uploads a precinct twice, and they figure that out the next day, they're going to go in and delete some votes off of that because they correct that over upload, if you will. So we've asked them if they could go ahead and make notations that says this change due to, and then whatever the result would be, due to a double upload of a precinct, whatever the case is. So they're looking into it. Do they have the ability to do that? And in doing that, we don't want them to just do it. We want it to be public access information on their website so that people can look at it and say, or Major Dave, when you look at it, you can say, okay, now I understand why these numbers change, and there'll be some type of a paper trail where you can go back and actually verify that that is in fact the case. So we're asking them not to do this in an accusatory tone. We want transparency, as they claim to do. So the transparency, the best way to do that is show us the machines, show us the reasons that numbers change, and to make sure that we understand that. Now, I know that Dave has had a concern, as all of us do, that sometimes those numbers change one day to the next and they're not explained. Some of those are voter files, some of those are data files that do not include actual votes. So we want it clearly posted on the state's website that says when something is a voter file and what the reason for the change was. In other words, ballots cast, and then the other ones where they're demographic type information. So one of the points they made, and I think I've got this right when I would say to an explanation, take my son as an example. He moved from Pitt County to Beaufort County. So his file is going to have an update to it because he moved. So if we have a notation that, they've changed X number of records this month due to voters moving or moving into state, out of state, changing parties, whatever the case might be, that we have a detailed explanation as to why that was to happen. The voter file of the actual ballots cast and who won the election, according to them, does not change once the final canvass and certifications are done. So we're looking to make sure that that's actually the case on those. We have asked them to come back. They'll be back on the 16th of June, where we'll spend at least another hour with them, do some more investigation. I'm hopeful they'll come to us and say we can go over and look at these machines. But do know that your North Carolina House Freedom Caucus is actively pursuing the concerns and questions that the voters have to make sure that North Carolina has absolutely transparent results on elections, provable, and that there's a track record of why things change. Again, my name's Representative Keith Kidwell from the North Carolina 79th House District. Glad to represent you great people.
All right, guys, that's the end of the video. And what's interesting also about this is, first thing, they use a different kind of voting machine. So they didn't use the same voting machine as Arizona did, but they do have chips in them that allow them to get online. But supposedly those chips were deactivated. The other interesting thing about this story is in Wake County in North Carolina, they had a food truck that was parked all night in front of the polling place in Wake County. And Wake County is one of the largest districts in North Carolina. And they're investigating why that truck was parked there. There's a lot of things going on in North Carolina that is beneath the surface and not many people know about it. The other interesting thing is North Carolina is one of the states that stopped counting the night of the election. And it's the only state that actually stayed with Trump after that happened. So that's why they're looking. I think this is a good idea of looking into this. I'll be honest with you, I want them to do audit statewide. I like them to do an audit here. But they're looking at the machines first, and that's probably the best idea was, look at these machines and figure out, were they tampered with? Did anything change that was supposed to change, so on and so forth. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Peace.